and welcome to this week's Outreach Crafts. Today, Jo and I, we've cleaned the room thoroughly and we're keeping a good social distance, and we've also recently had a COVID test as well and it's been negative. Just to introduce myself, I'm Vicky and I'm one of the Outreach support workers.
I'm Jo, I'm the activity coordinator, and this week we are making a felt flower wreath. And a bit of a bead fell off there, that's a good start. So we've got a project this time that you can sew or glue. It will involve some sewing, but you can use up scraps of felt or even scraps of fabric at home. So we will start to do a shopping list. So for this week's project, you're going to need a metal wreath. These can be bought online or at florists. A lot of florists are doing click and collect, so you can still get things, but they are available online, usually in either singles or in packs, and they're quite cheap. Strips of fabric. I'm going to tap to buy some ribbon. That's strips of fabric, which is to cover the wreath. So we've just pre-cut some. This would look actually quite nice with some like little ditzy flowery fabric. You're going to need some ribbon to hang it at the end, so we've got some big ribbon there. Some different coloured felts in colours that suit, so we've got greens for leaves and different spring flower colours. Needles and thread, scissors, a pen, some little glass beads. And we've got a glass to draw around for one of the templates as well. So I think, and some glue then for assembling at the end. Again, glue gun or runny glue, or actually you can sew this together. It's just a longer process, but if you want to fill a bit of time, then this is your project. Right, we're going to make this first flower, which is the, on this one, the peachy flower. So to make this particular shape flower, you're going to need a piece of fabric approximately 30 centimetres long. And you're going to leave one straight edge, and you're going to have a bit of a wiggly shape, which I've just drawn on to show you the idea, on the front. So depending how many flowers you want, with this, because I've got a wiggle in the middle, if I cut through there and then cut another straight, that automatically gives me 2. On this I've got 3, but you can have however many you want because it might be quite nice completely full. So we will cut these out.
Try and do mine freehand and see how we go.
Yeah, he's going for it. It's nice actually if you can do it without drawing it on, because I've got pen marks on mine.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you go around with pen marks so they don't stay on the fabric on you.
It's concentration. About sneaking out. I don't think it matters really, because once it gathers up, they become the petal shapes. So I'm going to stick it down there, because that gives me 2. Right. And then I might as well do another one while I'm on. And now I'm just going to freehand this one and just do another wiggly shape. But they really are just sort of like lumps, because these form the petals. I haven't got quite as big scissors as I had last time. I'm still not quite large enough for doing this, but I can't see what's going on. That was quite a smooth.
Because it's not a particular flower as such, is it?
No, it's just a made-up flower. You may not find one like this in nature. There, you've got 4 in there, but we'll see if I need that one.
The thing is, you can change all the different colours of your fabric to what season you're in as well, can't you?
It's really nice actually as a Christmassy one, although we've had Christmas now, but it would be nice as a Christmassy one. Right, so we'll show you how to make the first flower before we go to the second one. So we've got a needle and thread already knotted at one end. You need quite a long stretch. And all we're going to do is along the straight edge, we're going to do just a running stitch. It can be quite big because it's literally just to gather it together.
I need more cotton on there then.
No, that might be enough.
Yeah, so you want it double in the cotton?
I would do, only because you're gathering it.
Plus if you're doing a knot at the end.
So
a lot of people actually sew with a knot at the end, don't they?
Yeah,
I never do.
Don't you? No. Do you do a knot when you put it in your fabric?
No, I just leave it. I just sort of when I'm sewing, I just do it a few times round.
Oh. I watched a lady the other day and she did like a loop that she kept catching and I couldn't work out how she was doing.
Are you going right at the end? Right?
Yeah, probably about half a centimetre in, and it really is. I mean, my stitches, you can see they're all sorts of shapes and sizes. It really doesn't matter. This is literally just a gathering, and part of the reason that we've got it doubled is because it has to be strong enough to be able to gather it.
Well, I'll probably snap when I gather it.
I've had that happen as well. I think that these look really complicated and none of them are complicated at all.
Well, it's easy with felt, isn't it? Because you've got no extra sewing with it, you know, if you've not got any raw edges. Felt's quite reasonable to buy as well in the shops.
It is. All the, in actual fact, these ones special offer.
See, this is what I've done, look, mine's just slipped. I did do a knot, but obviously not the best knot because it's come all the way through.
So you need a new knot. Right, so when you've sewn along the straight edge of your flower with your knot at one end, you're going to gather that all together and push it down, which is why you don't want your fabric to break, or why you don't want your thread to break, sorry. And then you're going to twist it round on yourself. You're going to have to hold that bit tight, so that's just the only bit that's tricky. Twist it round until you get a flower shape, like that. And then you're just going to do a little stitch just to hold it in place. So go through, because you've still got your needle attached to it. And just do a little catching stitch to hold that in place. You can trim and make that a bit more of a petal shape because I've got a bit of a straight edge there. And then here, I'd already done some, and they end up all different shapes, but that doesn't matter because by the time you add them to your wreath, they start to bunch together and what have you. So we've got a few different shapes and sizes. And that is our first set of flowers complete. I'm just going to knock that off and then we're ready to make our next ones.
Remember to put a knot in because I forgot.
Oh,
But I've given up knotting. I've just threaded it a few times.
It's probably a better idea, isn't it? I'm actually just going to neaten up those.
It does hurt your fingers, just give them a rest and have a break because it
actually that's a valid point because
it is quite fiddly.
Yeah, it is quite fiddly. I just scratch it in there. Right, the next flower we're doing is the one that we've done in the violet colour. It's more like the little violet flower there. To do that one, you're going to draw round something circular. We've doubled it up so we can cut them out quicker. So we've just used a small drinking glass. You could actually use something slightly smaller. I couldn't find anything here that was small enough. And we're going to cut out these circles. Then we're going to cut each of these circles in half. So we shall be back in 2 minutes. Okay, so we cut those circles out and then we've cut each of the circles, like I mentioned, in half. So we have now our 6, which has become 12, I think there, maybe. And then we also, because the darker colour, we'd only smaller felt, we've actually done a slightly smaller circle. So we just use the underside of a glass, but again, anything circular, whatever you want to use.
A jam top or something.
Actually, jam top would be good. So again, it's a gathering one, so we'll do it on the big one. So we'll take one of our piles and with a knot in the end of your thread again, you're going to do a running stitch, gathering stitch. And same thing we did last time.
Oh, this is just forming the petal, isn't it?
It is, but you just keep them all on the same thread. So once you've sewn through one, you just add your next one straight on. And I've just stabbed myself there.
I think I've got the bluntest needle, but I did pick the one with the biggest hole, so I've got thread it.
So you've got a really blunt one that won't go through. It's like sewing with a poker. And I've got a really funny scrap in my hand there, and I don't know what I did.
I've got to make sure they're all on the same, facing the same way.
Yeah, although they do sort of like form their own thing anyway, so I just keep sewing because you can twist them round. So I've got 3 on so far. I'm just going to do another 3 and see how it looks. So we're trying to get a few out. So
how many did you say we're having on this one? 6?
I think we'll try 6 and just see what it looks like. I think actually I did slightly more on that one, but just for speed, I think we'll do 6, and then at home you can add on as many as you want. I think that this one, if you want to do an Easter one, you could actually add on some of the little bits that you can buy, so that the little Easter eggs, or perhaps a little sheep or a little bunny or something on there as well, little chickens.
Yeah, well, I've just bought some bits to make on home. I bought some little felt rabbits and some daisies and sunflowers to make one.
Oh, that would be nice.
They look nice.
They'll come out all right.
Where are they from?
From Hamburgers.
Oh, it's happy hamburgers.
There you go. We'll have Hamburgers.
Right, I've got 6 on now. So I'm just going to see, once I've got them all the same way, yeah, that's probably about right. Because once, again, you curl it round on itself, I've got quite a good little flower shape there. So same thing I did last time, a couple of stitches to hold that in place in the back. It's quite a nice one, this, because you can do it over a little while. So you can do a couple of flowers one day, a couple of flowers another day, and take your time with it. Yeah, because actually the more you build up, the better it'll look. I'm actually just going to catch that petal in a bit because it was escaping. You could, if you wanted to be really technical, actually change the colour of your thread to match your felt. It doesn't really matter that much because you can't see it.
Well, I quite like this one. This goes quite nice, this one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's gone better than the other one.
I can't believe how easy they are to do, really. No, that has worked quite well. It's alright with 6, isn't it?
More technical, don't they?
Yeah. So we're building up a nice little collection now of flowers. We're going to carry on making these with our small ones and our bigger ones, and so then we'll be ready to do our 3rd type of flower. Right, we're going to make this little lumpy flower now, so that's that one there. We're only going to make one of that. So again, you need about 30 centimetres of fabric. This one I am going to just trim a bit off. You need it to be about a finger length. My finger length, so if you're at home and you don't have my finger there, then you'll have to work out what sort of length that is, and that's not straight, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so once we've got, oh dear, that really is long. That's terrible.
It's crooked.
Never mind, it's fine. So, and what we're going to do with this, we're going to fold it in half, and then you are going to snip it, going part way across, but not quite to the end. So we've snipped through the end that's bent over, and then the other 2 are together, so that when we open that out, it's like that. So we're going to carry on doing that all the way down. Okay. So all the way along. You just got to be careful that you don't snip over the end of it, because you need it to hold together, and just keep making sure that it matches up. And mine was about as straight as a dog's hind leg, so.
I'm still trying to catch up.
In between all of our filming today, we keep having little chats, so what normally takes us about 2 hours is going to be 4 hours, because we keep having...
notice the daylight hours will be going shortly because it'll be night time.
So if you see our next scene in our pajamas, that's because we're still here, having a catch up in between. Because there's not many of us in the hospice, it's kind of nice when you do see people to have a bit of a catch up. And obviously, although you can see me and Vicky, Diana's actually here with us as well. Although she stays hidden, and she's grinning like mad because she's hidden. But one day we will turn the camera on her and film her as well, so you can see her in the background. Right, the next bit we're going to do is exactly like we've done before. Needle and thread, knotted at one end, And now with what is our open end, we're going to sew along, exactly like we've done before.
Oops, it'd be worse actually if you go all the way through and just cut halfway.
Yeah. I suppose you could still add it together actually. You'd probably still just join it on from the end. Don't check it, maybe I didn't actually, that's a lot done well on that one.
These scissors are actually quite sharp.
They come out with it. Oh, I've got a really stiff now, won't go through. That's the only thing because the top.
Some of the felt is actually thicker than
Yeah, it is.
some of the other ones, aren't they? With the quality.
So,
I've got a hyacinth at home, but oh gosh, the smell. It's too strong.
is it?
Yeah.
What colour's yours?
It's the white. It's just come out. It's white.
What is it?
I'm not really keen on the smell. I like the look of them, but I can plant it in the garden, can't I?
Yeah. They'll just keep coming back.
Yeah.
I've got all those in my pot, and I showed you that I've been planting them in the glass, and they smell quite strong. But my snowdrops have survived. So I have snowdrops inside at the moment because my porch is very cold. So I've been using really old cut glass and just old glass vases and things, filled them with compost and earth, and then I've planted bulbs in, and one of the types of bulbs, apart from hyacinths, I've done some snowdrops, and then I've put reindeer moss on, and they are thriving currently. I've said that, touch wood.
They don't have a smell, do they?
No. Right, and our last flower, which is the little primroses. They look a bit like that, don't they? Like little flowers there. So we're going to cut out a bit of a flower shape. Now this one I'd actually done by folding a bit of fabric up and cutting around the sides, but it doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you've got a bit of a flower shape. So I'm going to do a very approximate.
Did you cut a circle first? Or?
Yeah, but I think it's easier just to cut a flower shape really, probably. Just some sort of, if you think of a
Flowery shape.
A flowery type shape. So you can either freehand it or just cut one out. So as long as you've got a big flower shape, and I'm actually going to cut 4 out at once.
Of the yellow and the white?
Of the yellow and the white. I just thought they looked quite nice mixed.
Okay.
Like we said before, we're not really sure any of these exist in nature. It could be just there's something on the floor.
This goes alright because I'm cutting through 4 pieces in.
Yeah, I am as well. Okay, so if I turn it over so I've not got the messy side, we've got 4 little flowers there, and you do need quite a few because these flowers sort of clump together, so you need to get quite a few cut out. So I'm actually going to add that in, even though it doesn't look the same. So
I must just say mine are not going to look very good, so I think I'm going to have to do mine again.
But it's looking fine. I'm wondering what the maximum number you can cut out at once is.
It's not more than probably, I'm telling you.
No, I don't think
No,
I will even.
they're not looking good at all.
Oh, they're fine, they look better than mine. But you see, they need to be gathered in a bit anyway, so when they go on to get more of a flower shape, they'll be gathered up so they get more of a shape. And with the little beads and things in as well, it adds a bit more definition for them. So I'm just going to cut out my next lot. Ooh,
How many more are you doing?
I've got another 4 there, so that gives 8. You can always add more, obviously for time we're a bit restricted, but at home you can add in as many as you want, and if you've got plenty of time and you can do it over a little while, then you can keep adding in. That's a terrible flower. That's lost all its petals. So you have obviously a lot longer to be able to do them than we have. So I'm probably going to leave it that I've got about 8ish there, so Vicky's put hers as well. And the only other thing that we need is some leaf shapes. Now actually I cut these out earlier. Now you want different shapes and sizes, so I did some big ones, and I've also done them in 2 different colours, so in a paler green and darker green. So I've got a bigger size and a smaller size. Now, we're not going to, oh, that's actually upside down, sorry. We're not going to do the sewing on, but if you want to add some more detail, you can add the veins on and just do just really a big back stitch on, and it just adds a bit more definition. Or if you want, you can leave them as plain leaves. Today, we're just going to leave them plain. That's just to give you an idea if you want to add a bit more on. So we're going to cut out some leaf shapes as well. Shall I cut out all the leaf shapes?
Yeah, you cut the leaves because I'm just cutting these.
No,
I've decided that just 2 layers is best for me.
Yeah, I'll just cut out a load of leaves so we've got some ready to stick on.
Maybe if you cut it out on a template on a piece of paper, you know,
That might be easier actually. Yeah, I think it probably would. This felt was actually a really nice felt. And then when we come to the construction part, which will be shortly, if you don't want to glue it, you could actually sew the whole thing together. You could sew all the flowers on and sew all the beads on, so you don't actually have to glue at all with this. But for speed, when we do a video, we always use a glue gun just because it makes it a bit quicker. Okay, so at this point you will have your flowers ready, however many you're going to use. So ideally more is better because it gives you more of a choice when you come to assemble it. You need a selection of leaves, of which we've got some small ones and some big ones cut out. I feel like we might need some more, but we'll have a look. And then your small flowers as well. So you also, at this point, will need your fabric strips for your background, your ribbon for your bow at the top, and your metal wreath, and we'll start assembling. Okay, so now we're going to attach the fabric strips that we've pre-cut. So it doesn't matter how long these are really, because you'll just keep going until you've covered the whole of your wreath. So I always start from the inside. I'm just going to turn that over because I actually need it the opposite way for a minute. This glue gun has been on a while, so hopefully it should be nice and warm now. We're going to glue the fabric together. I don't glue it to the wreath, I glue it the fabric sides together. And once that's attached, you're going to pull that tight and then tuck it through the middle and back through the outside. And at this point, you don't need to glue these bits together, it'll just hold itself. If that first bit that we did there with the glue gun, if you're just doing this sewing, you can just sew and just do a little running stitch through that. So I'm going to keep going all the way around. You just try and keep it quite tight because it keeps it neater. If you've got a broad ribbon, it would look nice as well because you would have slightly neater edges. My problem with this is that we have got a slight frayed edge, but I don't mind that. Using my body as a bit of a thing to push against that. So little layer of glue again because that first piece of fabric's run out. So then I get my second one. And I'm again going to start from the back because I need to now cover where that one stops. So I'm going to start from the back. Make sure that's pushed on. Try not to knock the glue gun off. And then I'm going to continue with. That's Vicky in the background, who's obviously had some sort of issue with her glue gun. Because Vicky's sticking hers at the same time as me. So she's obviously...
Didn't throw herself until the end.
Oh no! That is something to watch for if you actually heard Vicky there. The glue guns, if you haven't got a cool melt one, are just such a nightmare. So please watch yourself on those. Oh yeah, perfect. There you go, so we have a very neat example if we can wave it in front of the camera since she's beaten me.
The only thing I've taken up today.
an awful feeling that bit of ribbon is too short. Oh, no, it's not. It's just long enough. Ooh. Only just. That was nearly a disaster. Okay. And without burning myself, hopefully, just stick that bit down. And that can be my wrong side now. And then what we're going to do is start to add on flowers and things. So then you have to work out which way or how you want to display them. So moving them all across. Because we'll do our little beads as the very last thing. So what I did was I started off at the bottom. So, and I added the smaller leaves on first. And you can do a mixture of colours. They're quite nice hanging over the edges of the wreath. Yeah, yeah. So if we do a selection, that's right, I'm going to do another dark one there, because you can see as you go along you don't want it too uniform with how you're doing it. They can overhang the edge of your wreath. So we've got a few there. Now with your flowers, with your little flowers, I'm going to actually use glue, but what you can do is sew a little, again like we've been doing, a gathering stitch inside, and that will bring your flower up like that, but it's a little bit more time consuming. So what I'm going to do, as a bit of a cheats thing, is use a little bit of glue inside mine and then bend them up, and then I get a similar effect, so that I've got slightly gathered flowers rather than them just being flat, because they don't look quite the same when they're just flat. Actually, I just want to squash them together a bit more because I just went a bit too flat.
Sticks.
Oh, yeah, similar. Can you see on the same tray?
I'm surprised how much glue you actually
You do go through loads of glue. We had a conversation a little while ago off camera again about food, and all I can think about now is that I want a curry for tea. I can't get past curry. Right. Oh, missed one there.
Oh.
You right there?
Yeah.
You sure? I have to say, glue guns are a very good invention. Right, very last bit. So now we're going to put our little beads in. These were a mixed seed beads. And again, if you're sewing, you can sew them in. I'm actually obviously going to glue them. So I'm going to put a blob of glue inside. I'm just going to do a couple of flowers at a time. And I've put it over a saucer just so I can catch any spares. And we're just going to put them on. Doesn't matter at this point because they're going to catch on there and we can rescue them. So move it round again, work out where you want your centre of your flower for those two. See, we've got a long spider's web there. And even on your little ones, you can add little bits in as well, little bits of beads, because that gives quite a nice effect on the smaller ones. So I'm just randomly putting little bits on those. Making sure that we hit the bits that we've put glue on. And I find it easier to do it with a teaspoon, but you could just shake them out. And then this is my last flower now. Actually, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to do it like that. So we'll move that to the side. hopefully this is just going to go on the tray. It's not going to go on the saucer. My master plan there is not going to work. Okay, and when we stand that up, all the loose ones fall off, so we can rescue them in a bit. Now if we take all those trails off and all our spider's webs off, just have a neaten up, and there we go. As you can see now that the beads have just stuck where we'd got the glue. And then we're going to do, I'm just going to knock those off because it's still got some loose ones, and also because the glue's still drying. And then our very last bit is going to be a bow on the top, which I'll do when I start here. So we've got some nice organza ribbon, which I'm going to find the middle and the top. Tie a bow. And I'm going to bring the legs of the bow down. Vicky's got loads of beads rolling all over, I can hear them.
And it's going to have a lot of cleaning tonight from me.
Okay, and then our scissors, which luckily
Did you hear all those beads falling?
I did hear all your beads falling around. It was rice last time we were together, it's beads this time. I bet they love us when they come in here. There we go, and there we have our finished wreath.